The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
Time now for the most listened to talk show in Vegas. Talking with those on the right, the left, and everywhere in between. It's Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro.
I hate everything about this Brian Shapiro guy.
This show will make you laugh, make you cry, and it might raise Brian's blood pressure.
You know what, dude? People like you, all you do is make excuses for the orange turd, and I've had it.
Buckle up, because it's Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro.
You're different. I like you.
Now, here's Brian.
What's going on, everybody? A very happy Thursday. Welcome to Pushing the Limits. Thank you all for tuning in. Could be listening on the FM/AM dial KSHP. Of course, you could also be on the Occupy Democrats network, the Washington Press Network. We're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube at PTL Radio Show. You can subscribe for free to my YouTube page and, of course, my website, pushingthelimits.live. And boy, do we have a lot to get to today. Donald Trump's rally in North Carolina. We're definitely going to be breaking that down. We have plenty of audio from his rally in North Carolina. Corey Lewandowski is back on the Trump campaign team. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. And Harris's response. We will get to that as well. But, you know, it's very rare on this show where we just get an enormous guest. We get a lot of great guests, but rarely do we get an enormous guest. And I have to tell you all, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those opportunities that we get. It's very rare. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, joins us right now live on the line. I think he just got off the golf course, and I really do appreciate him taking the time to join us. Mr. President, thank you so much for being with us again. How are you doing today, sir?
Fantastic, Elon. It's so great to be back on with you so quickly from the other night.
Yeah, I'm not Elon. I'm not Elon. But
what's that?
I'm not Elon.
We have a bad connection. Sounds like you're saying you're not Elon.
Yeah, I'm not, Mr. President. That was the other day you were with Elon. My name is Brian Shapiro. I'm a radio host here in Las Vegas.
Oh, Brian, we've spoken before.
Yes,
we've spoken before. I've helped you a great deal. Far more than Kamala has done. So I'm thinking you'll be voting for me. You'll be voting for me because I've done so much. How many times have I called in? 50, 60?
Maybe not that many. That's a little that's a little exaggerated, but I will give you credit, Mr. President. You do call into this show, and we're trying to get Kamala Harris.
I do. I call in, and I love my Jewish friends. I love them so much, and I appreciate the fact that the Jews love me, and they consider me one of their own, but they always misunderstood one thing. My name, Donald J. Trump, is not Donald Jewish Trump. I just want everyone to know that. It's genius. It's genius.
Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you for clearing that up, Mr. President.
And you know, we have the Bible with my good friend Lee Greenwood, but we're doing the Torah. We're going to have a Trump Torah out very soon.
Mr. President, I have to criticize you, or at least ask you on this. You were seen playing golf today, eating a few hot dogs. Like, shouldn't you be on the campaign trail preparing for speeches and the debate? Why are you playing so much golf, eating hot dogs?
Excuse me, Brian. I was just in Asheville, North Carolina. We had 25,000 people. 25,000. We had to squeeze them in. We had another 10,000 outside in the snow who couldn't get in. So I think I'm doing a tremendous job. And I mean, honestly, I'm going up against a fake Kamala Harris. Her crowds are all AIG. They're all AIG because the Chuck, the maintenance guy at the airport, he was very nice. He posted on X that there was no one actually greeting her at the plane because there was no one in the reflection. And, the only people you can't see in a reflection are Dracula, are vampires. So either Kamala didn't have anybody there or her alleged 20,000 people are all vampires. And I honestly think they're vampires because that's what Democrats are. They're vampires.
Mr. President.
Suck you till you're blind. Suck you till you're blind.
Mr. President, why are you so obsessed with crowd size? Be honest.
Because crowd size is an indication of how many people are going to vote for you. if you have tiny crowds, how did Joe Biden win last year? 25 people showed up at his rallies. And then he won the election back in 2017. I mean, how's that even possible? How's that even possible? The more people who show up at my rallies and buy flags and beer cozies and T-shirts and slippers and, the MAGA hats. Everyone should have at least 10 MAGA hats. And the new MAGA hats, the new Make America Great Again, the MAGA Gaga. The MAGA Gaga hats are doing very well. And that shows I am popular with everybody because everybody shows up. If people don't show up, then you're not popular.
But Mr. President, if people
but no one's showing up for Kamala.
Well,
no one's showing up for Kamala.
Mr.
She's
President,
a big phony. She's probably AIG.
Mr. President, that's not true. She came to Las Vegas. There were like 15,000 people in the arena. Why do you keep saying she's not getting crowds, Mr. President?
She's not getting good. That was all fake. It's like a movie. Did you ever see a movie where they have a big crowd scene? I think it was what was the one with Bane? Was that the third one in the Batman trilogy? That whole stadium, there's no one there. There was no one there. That was all fake. They faked that with the Photoshop and the Canva and the all the other things they're using now. I tell you, they can fool anybody with anything.
Well, do you think the poll numbers are fake?
Of people with my voice, and I'm like, wait a minute, when did I record that? And it wasn't me. It wasn't me. That's why.
You're right. There are people that imitate your voice, Mr. President. We're not going to.
It's terrible. Somebody said they had a video of me sitting in a golf cart, and they said I called Kamala the B word. The B word. I can't stand her. And I would never use the B word, but she does look like my wife. Doesn't she look like Melania? Doesn't she look like Melania?
You want me to really answer that? I mean, I don't think so.
Well, because they put her on Time Magazine, and she looks like a drawing because it's a drawing. That's why it looks like a drawing.
Right.
But she makes her like the most beautiful Broadway movie star, and but it looks like Melania.
Where is Melania?
I can't stand her. That's an excellent question, and we've got my top people working on that. The same people who found Obama's birth certificate are looking for Melania right now because she got her ankle bracelet off. I think she used a file. Because we had a pretty good ankle bracelet. It was very pretty, but she got it off. She was wearing. But we're going to find her.
I didn't know Melania was wearing an ankle bracelet. This is breaking news,
Of
Mr.
course.
President. I didn't know that.
Beautiful. Do you know that all beautiful women wear ankle bracelets? That's the way their rich husbands can find them. You know what I mean?
I did not know that, Mr. President. Thank you for clearing that up with us.
Well, are you a multi-millionaire?
No, I'm not.
See, that's why.
No.
These are the kinds of things you learn when you're really, really rich.
Well, I'm learning.
Really, and I'm very, very rich. I'm very, very rich. Don't let these people lie to you and tell you that I'm not rich. I'm very, very rich. We've done very well with the sneakers and the hats and the NDTs that are virtual cards of me looking like a cowboy. What are they called again? Cass, what are those things called? The NDTs? The TDF?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but...
An NFT?
An NFT.
Yeah.
It's an NFT.
Yeah.
It's a non-fungible token. A non-fungible token.
An NFT. Yeah, I understand. If you're just
An
joining
NFT.
us...
They're very popular. I mean, a lot. Guess what? There's nothing to it. We go on, we get some stock photos, and we sell them for like $100. It's crazy. It's crazy how people will buy just about anything.
If you're just joining us, he is the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
And 47.
Well, we'll see about that. What do you make about the poll numbers, Mr. President, that have come out? It seems like Harris...
It's all lies. The real polls, I'm doing very well. The fake polls, I'm not doing very well. And by the way, Brian, I spent $100 million fighting Sleepy Joe, and they did the old switcheroo with Kamala Harrison, and now I'm stuck with her. She looks like, she's almost 60 or 57 or whatever. She looks like
you're 78.
30. Exactly. That's my point. I was going up against an old guy, but now they did this to me. And on top of that, they split it. Because she gets the Indian vote and the black vote. I don't think that's fair. You can only be one race when you're a president. When you're running for president, you can't be two. That's a twofer.
Well, Mr. President, we have a lot of questions, Mr. President, on social media. If I could just ask you a few. There's one person asked, why are you not paying your venues at these events? The rumor is you're not paying these venues at your rallies, Mr. President.
That's not a rumor. I don't pay them. Why would I pay them? I'm doing them a favor. Think of all the hot dogs and the sodas and the parking they're getting. I don't get a cut of that. I don't get a cut of that. When I come into, one of these towns in South Carolina or North Carolina or outer Montana, when I go in there, that draws people in.
Wow.
That draws people in. How many people on a Monday night are going to go to Branson, Missouri or Bozeman, Montana? But all of a sudden they got 25,000 people, and the Sizzler is packed, and the Applebee's is packed. And the Fridays is packed. I'm doing them a favor. Right. They don't need my money. I'm rich. They don't need rich people money. Hey. They need poor people's money.
All right. Hey, listen, if that's your prerogative, but I got to ask you, you were at Mar-a-Lago last week and you hold this press conference and you said 75% of the country support you and that most people agree with overturning Roe versus Wade. I think most people,
100%.
Well, why do you say that, Mr. President? Because go ahead.
Because people think they want freedom, but they don't want freedom. Freedom, I have to say this, you know what real freedom is? Do you know what real freedom is, Brian?
You tell me.
Not having freedom. That's the best freedom. So we take away the freedoms, and they go, oh, it's not so bad. We're lowering the temperature on freedom. Freedom's overrated. It's totally overrated. And when I'm back in office, we're going to put Project 2025 into full effect, even though I don't know what the hell it is, and I've never seen it, and I don't know anybody who's connected with it. It's going to be our number one priority.
It seems like all the people on your staff are the ones that created Project 2025, Mr. President. Surely.
This is what I'm being told, and this is why I should really sit down and read it at some point. But you know me, I don't like to read. I like pictures. If they can make Project 2025 a picture book, I think I would probably skim it.
All right, fair enough. Last question, Mr. President, and I really do appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
It seems as though this debate is coming up on September 10th. I want you to talk about that. What is going to be your style against Kamala Harris? It's not Kamala Harrison, by the way. It's Kamala Harris. I want to make sure you pronounce
Harris.
It. Yeah, I want to make
Harris.
sure.
Does anyone, excuse me, Brian, does anyone know her real name? Does anyone know her real name?
I thought that was her real name. What do you mean, Mr. President?
No. Like, that's her married name, right? Oh, isn't that her married name?
Yeah.
What's her real name? What's her real name?
Are you
What's PJ Mantel's real name? I'd like to know that.
That's true.
Yeah, he changed his name 3 times. I wish I would have known that before I picked him for my VP.
Mr. President,
the fact that he was cross-dressing.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
Well, let me tell you, I'm not crazy about Don Jr., but him and Eric, they're the ones like, J.D. Mandel, or whatever his name is, Vance. And I'm like, I don't know. I could go with Chris. You and I had a conversation last time. You asked me months ago, who's going to be my VP? Who's going to be my VP? Remember we talked about Kristi Noem, but then she shot the dog. And then I said, what's your name from Arizona, the little pixie?
Carrie Lake?
I can see her face. Carrie Lake. Yep. Carrie Lake. I would be killing it right now with Carrie Lake. I would be killing it. And now what do I have? I've got some goth guy who wears eyeliner and dresses as a woman, which I didn't know about, and can't answer a simple question. He can't answer a simple question.
So are you going to get rid of him or what? Tell us.
I don't know. You know what? We're actually looking. This is breaking news. You're going to get a scoop. We're looking into this. But there's some election laws. But, I never follow any laws anyway. But they're saying I can't do that. But I think I can do that. I can swap them out. At this point, I could swap them out for a doorstop and do better. The guy's polling in negative numbers. This is unheard of. And I'm saddled with this guy.
All right. Well, hey, Mr. President, I feel for you. I always appreciate it when you take the time to join us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Absolutely.
If you can pass along the phone to my good friend, John D. Domenico, that would be great. Can you do that?
Hold on. He's right here. Hold on.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, John. How's it going, my friend? The gift that
Fantastic.
keeps on giving. World's best Trump impersonator. One of the funniest, most talented guys I know. How are those YouTube Friday press conferences going?
They're doing great, and today I'm going to be on Jesse Dollemore.
Oh, nice.
He's a progressive podcaster. Yeah, I've done an appearance with him before. He had me back on again today. This is why I was in the mood today to kind of go on.
Yeah, I texted John.
20 minutes with him.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to hear that. John, you are the best. Give out your YouTube information, your social media. You are world's best Donald Trump impersonator and a genius. Give out that information so people can follow you, my friend.
Everybody, you can find me on most platforms at The Johnny D Show. and that'll be the same on YouTube. Just add the number 1. But on Instagram, on Facebook, I'm comedian John D. Domenico. But everything else, it's all the same. Please find me on Instagram. Follow me. Long form, it's on YouTube. So whatever you like. You like the short stuff, I'm on TikTok. If you like the long stuff, I'm on YouTube.
I got to say, this is a compliment to you. Every single time, John, you do this show as Donald Trump, I have a plethora of people that not only think it's actually really Donald Trump, but they're angry at me for being too nice to you and calling you Mr. President. It's every show. It's unbelievable. That's how good you are, my friend.
Great.
I love you, John. Thanks so much for coming on. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
Brother.
Have a good one. All
Love
right,
you
take
too.
care.
See you,
Bye-bye.
bye.
John D. Domenico from the Howard Stern Show. That is world's best Donald Trump impersonator. The guy is a genius. He's hilarious. And I absolutely love this guy. He's great. John D. Domenico, check him out. Also known as the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump. But I can understand why so many people thought it was actually Donald Trump and they think it's him, because Trump says stuff like that too. He's so crazy. That's the funny part. Anyway, we have to get to a lot of audio that I'm going to be playing for you today. I thought we'd have a little fun to start the show. John D. Domenico is one of my favorite guests. He's so great. We're going to get to this rally that Donald Trump held in North Carolina yesterday. But before I do that, I have a couple other clips that I want to share with you and a couple other stories. First of all, have you heard about this one? Apparently, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. reached out to the Kamala Harris campaign and offered, in a way, somewhat of a bribe and asked for a position in her cabinet if she wins. And in return, he would endorse her. That's how phony this guy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is. And then he pedals along to Donald Trump, and Trump's offering him a position. I don't know what he's going to choose. It appears to me that the Harris campaign did not return his calls. That's according to the Washington Post. But this is what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is. This is who he is. He's looking for a position in the White House, and he would, all the terrible things he said about Harris in the last month or so, and then all of a sudden he's going to change his mind and support her as long as she promises him a position in her cabinet. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is absolutely two-faced, completely ridiculous. And while all this stuff is going on, we have some rising up-and-coming MAGA celebrities. One of those is Scott Presler. Now, if you don't know who Scott Presler is, he's an idiot who's done this show before, and I had to hang up on him because he's not willing to have a debate with somebody. But he goes around the country not signing people up to vote, signing people up to vote Republican. And he lies about the 2020 election. He's a guy who posted homosexual, erotic pictures from a Republican office where he was working at. He posted them on Craigslist. This is fact, by the way. And that office and that organization fired him because of it. You would think that most Republicans, number one, don't like homosexuals, and most Republicans certainly don't like homosexuals that post graphic content from their offices. That's what Scott Presler did. But listen, this guy's now turning into some sort of MAGA celebrity. Listen to him bragging about all the right-wing turd shows that he's been doing over the course of the last 24 hours.
This is Scott Presler. I just finished interviewing with Dr. Sebastian Gorka on Newsmax. And earlier today, I had the opportunity to go on the radio with Dan Bongino. I know. And earlier this week, I also went on with Jesse Kelly, and Dom Giordano weekly has me on his program.
Yeah, really turning into the MAGA celebrity. Really respected people, right? Sebastian Gorka, that pig. Dan Bongino, that steroid freak, right-wing turd. Jesse Kelly. Oh my God. Can you imagine? These are the rounds. He's turning into a MAGA celebrity, everybody. There he is. Scott Presler. And, this is an interesting cut that I wanted to play for you. J.D. Vance did an interview with Laura Ingraham, the evil racist witch. And she asked him about what I think is a legitimate question. Suburban women that are worried that you're going to take their rights away to have an abortion. Listen to J.D. Vance and his response.
Senator, one of my dear friends tonight said to me, well, all these suburban women, all they care about is abortion, and they don't understand that decision is with the states now. It's not banned nationally, even if some people want it to be banned nationally. It's with the states. What do you say to suburban women out there who are marinating in this propaganda?
Well, first of all, I don't buy that, Laura. I think most suburban women care about the normal things that most Americans care about, right?
I don't buy that, Laura. Most, people care about, most suburban women care about the most important things that they care about. No, you're wrong, JD. And when you're not dressing in drag or sexually assaulting couches, you're offending women. In just about every poll across the country, the number 2 issue for Americans, women and men, is abortion. Number 2, number 1 being the economy, number 2, abortion. And J.D. Vance is making it like this isn't a big deal, and most women aren't worried about this issue. No, they actually are, J.D., and the polls prove that. Absolutely absurd and absolutely ridiculous. So let's talk a little bit about this rally that took place in North Carolina. So Donald Trump's in North Carolina holding a rally, and it appeared as though the MAGA crowd wanted to make it seem like there was 100,000 people there, but that is absolutely not the case. When you look at the videos of where they held this rally, it looked like it was a movie theater with a couple thousand people. And if you see the cameras panning around, it's exactly what it was. Several thousand people in some sort of showroom that looked like a movie theater. This is what it sounded like with the chants right as Donald Trump took the stage. Have a listen to this. Yes, very loud and boisterous crowd. This was the open prayer at the rally because, of course, when you think about Donald Trump and when MAGA Republicans, especially the evangelicals, hear the word Donald Trump, the first thing they think about is prayer, right, and God, because that's very normal. Here's what it sounded like, the open prayer before Donald Trump took the stage in North Carolina.
God, we pray for President Donald John Trump today. God, that you would protect him. Lord, we pray that you would surround him with guardian angels. And that, Lord, if it be your will in November, God, for this man, this valiant man to stand in the White House once again, then, Lord, we will be sure to give you all praise, all glory, and all honor.
Yeah, there you go. All praise, all glory, and all honor as I introduce the 34-count felon liable sexual abuser. Oh, my God. Anyway, it's crazy, people. It's crazy. So Donald Trump started the speech yesterday, and I've got plenty of cuts to play for you that are all ridiculous and insane. And this is Donald Trump talking about the stock market, which clearly he knows nothing about. But when the stock market is struggling, he blames the Harris-Biden camp, of course. And when the stock market is doing really, really well, he throws out the idea that is a blatant lie that somehow it's because people think he's going to win in November. Have a listen to this.
Many people say that the only reason the stock market is up is because people think I am going to win. Did you ever hear that? But there was one day, a couple of weeks ago, when they weren't thinking that, and you saw what happened. This will be a 1929 style crash.
Yeah, there it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. When the stock market is plummeting and it's doing poorly, it's on the Biden-Harris campaign. When the stock market is doing very well, which it's continuing to do for the most part, we had a hiccup last week, it must be because people are spending their money because they believe Donald Trump is going to win. Yeah, that makes complete sense. But the MAGA crowd believes it. They believe every single word that he says. Now he starts bragging about how he should have gotten credit for ventilators. This is another crazy situation. I've never even heard him say this before. Listen to this.
So we never really got the credit we deserved for that with the ventilators and all of the different things that we did, the outfits, a lot of things.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. We never got credit for all the ventilators. By the way, a lot of the MAGA crowd on the far right claim that the ventilators killed a lot of people. I'm not a doctor. I don't know the answer to that question, but, he wants to brag about the vaccines, and yet so many of his supporters refuse to take it. You can't really have it both ways. Then he goes into this really weird diatribe about the wind. I mean, he talks about all sorts of different weird, bizarre things. Let me remind all of you that this speech was supposed to be about the economy, the future, and what he's going to do about the economy. And he couldn't stay on message for 5 seconds. Listen to him talking about the wind and try to explain to me what the hell he's talking about. Listen to this.
You think that's going to lift your prices a little bit? Think of that. They're going to take away 84%. And the real stuff, that's the stuff that powers the plants. It's not wind that goes around and around. And, darling, let's watch the president's State of the Union speech tonight. I'm sorry, we won't be able to do it. The wind isn't blowing, darling. We have no electricity.
What the hell is he talking about? Somebody on social media just said, waiting for a speech from Kamala. She's given 6 speeches in the last week. What are you talking about? I went to one of them over the weekend. And, you know, we hear this from the far right where, you know, Democrats hate our country. Kamala Harris isn't grateful. By the way, all Harris does is praise the country, how great this country is. It's a positive. Every single time she speaks, she talks about how much she loves this country and the opportunities it's given her. But we hear that from the far right. Democrats hate the country. Well, here's a wonderful message. Listen to Donald Trump calling us a third world nation. Listen to this.
Personally, we have a lot of important subjects because our country has become a third world nation. We literally are a third world nation. We're a banana republic in so many ways, and we're not going to let that happen.
Yeah, we're a banana republic. Well, ever since you decided to run for office, we've been a banana republic because you've been attacking our election integrity. You've been attacking our elections. You've been attacking the DOJ. You've basically said everything in this country is rigged unless it works for you. So I think if anybody is making negative comments about this country and attacking all our systems in this country, it's Donald J. Trump. It's not the Democrats. The Democrats want what's better for the country. Donald Trump wants what's better for him. That's the difference, ladies and gentlemen. And then here we go again, where he's supposed to be talking about the economy. He's supposed to be staying on message. And I hope he continues to do that. And I hope the Republicans continue to make fun of Kamala Harris's laugh, because Donald Trump did it again. As he does it, he calls her stupid. He makes fun of her laugh. He says that he doesn't believe that she's black. Here's Donald Trump again, off script, because he can't help himself, mocking her laugh. Listen to this.
Nearly 4 years, Kamala has crackled as the American economy has burned. What happened to her laugh? I haven't heard that laugh in about a week. That's why they keep her off the stage. That's why she's disappeared. That's the laugh of a crazy person, I will tell you, if you haven't known it. It's a crazy. She's crazy. They told her, don't laugh. Don't laugh. No, it's her. No, her laugh is career threatening. They said, don't laugh. She hasn't laughed. She doesn't laugh anymore. It's smart, but someday it's going to come out. That's the laugh of a person with some big problems. She says her plan is going to be.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of substance, Mr. President, making fun of Kamala Harris's laugh. Please continue to do that. It's definitely going to help you in November. By the way, if you really want to talk about laughing, most people, most normal people in this country like to see somebody smile. They like to see people laughing and being joyful, having a good time, enjoying life. I've never saw one person speaking to Donald Trump that has ever seen him actually really laugh, ever. So what would you rather have? Somebody who smiles a lot and laughs a lot, and as he puts it, has a cackle? Or somebody that never smiles at all, never laughs at all? I think most reasonable people would take the first choice on that one. But then again, a lot of substance. He's supposed to be talking about the economy, and he calls her stupid, and he starts making fun of her laugh. So I think you guys could make your own decision on that one. And then he says, you know, listen, the lies are endless. Every single time Donald Trump opens his mouth, he's lying about something. And that you can just fact check every other word he says is a lie. And here's another one. Trump said that Biden came into office when COVID was already ending around the world. Blatantly false. Have a listen to this.
More people died from COVID in the Biden administration than the Trump administration, and he got it when it was ending all over the world.
It's not true. Blatant lie. It's not true. But again, his sheep of supporters will believe anything that he says. What Donald Trump just said is a blatant lie. It's not true. And it's sad. And, you know, it continues. Have a listen to this. It continues, ladies and gentlemen. It continues with the lies and the hatred and the bigotry, and he refuses to stay on message.
Great chat for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours being grilled by Elon. And we had a good time, actually. We're talking about something we love, our country. Much easier when you.
Is there anybody that listened to that Elon Musk, Donald Trump conversation bore that would characterize it as Elon grilling him? First of all, it wasn't even an interview. It was a conversation. Elon is a Trump supporter. In a lot of ways, he has very similar characteristics to Donald Trump. Is there any reasonable person who listened to that would consider it as Elon grilling him? It was more like Elon wearing the Donald Trump knee pads than anything else. He wasn't grilled on anything. He wasn't challenged on anything. If there's any grilling, it's the 8 hot dogs that Donald Trump ate on the golf course today. He was not grilled by Elon Musk. He hasn't been grilled by anybody because he has yes men and yes women around him, and he has his entire life. Nobody grills Donald Trump, especially not Elon Musk. Like I said, the only person grilling for Donald Trump is it on the golf course when he has his hot dog and mustard and ketchup every day when he plays golf. It's absolutely ridiculous. Elon grilled him. Dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But again, the sheep actually believe it. All right, so I want to go to this last clip here. Because to me, this is the essence of Donald Trump and who he is as a human being. He made a living off of saying, "You're fired." And when Elon Musk and Donald Trump had a moment where I guess you could call it laughter, it was like creepy laughter. I don't even know what it was. Because Trump was praising Elon Musk when many of Musk's workers wanted better working conditions and they went on strike. And by the way, it's illegal to fire somebody if they go on strike. But Elon fired a bunch of those people, just about all of them that were on strike. And Donald Trump praised him for that because Donald Trump thinks it's fun to fire people, where an average human being that owns a business or runs a business, they dread firing people because it's never a fun thing to do. It's never fun to tell somebody that you just lost your job to most normal, decent human beings. But when it comes to Donald Trump, he enjoys telling people that they're fired. In fact, he made a living of it, and his supporters love it. Listen to him saying Kamala is fired. Have a listen to this.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. Go. Get out of here. Get out. Boom.
Just so weird and so sick. These people are so sick. He made a living saying you're fired. Think about that for a moment. And listen, the truth be told is that Trump didn't have a good day yesterday, and it probably wasn't the best day for him to be talking about inflation and the economy, because the inflation report that came out yesterday was a very good one. There was a report out that the U.S. crude oil production is now 13.4 million barrels a day. That means we are outpacing 35% ahead of Russia and 38% ahead of Saudi Arabia. Good day for the Biden-Harris campaign when it comes to inflation and the oil report that came out. But yet yesterday was supposed to be a day where Donald Trump was going to be talking about the economy, and about 1% of his speech was about the economy, and 99% of his speech were attacks. 99% of his speech making fun of Kamala's laugh, making fun of Joe Biden, attacking people that disagree with him, lying, calling this country a third world country, talking about the wind, talking about Hannibal Lecter. Again, his grievances about the 2020 election, his grievances about our justice system, the fact that he is a convicted felon. 99% of his speech had absolutely nothing to do about the economy. And then today, Donald decided to get up, put on his 8 layers of orange makeup, and comb his 4 hair transplant head, get out on the golf course and show off his extremely sexy physique, eat 6 hot dogs, play a round of golf, and do nothing else. Working really hard on the campaign trail while Harris is out with Waltz, and she is the Vice President of the United States, spreading a positive message about the future and meeting people out there and voters, while Donald Trump again is playing golf, eating his hot dogs. Here's what I'd like to do when we come back. I want to take a quick break. I want my MAGA friends to call in. If you disagree with me, here's your opportunity to call in and have a discussion with me, have a debate. Was Donald Trump on message yesterday in North Carolina? It was supposed to be a speech about the economy. At least that's what his handlers were saying. It was supposed to be an economic speech, and instead it was the exact same Donald Trump speech over and over and over again. I want to get your thoughts on that. 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, my MAGA friends are invited as well. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and when we're back, we will take all of your phone calls at 702-221-7283. Be back in 120 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
I humbly ask for your vote this coming election, November 5th. To learn how we can create a better America, please visit queensfornevada.com. Paid for by Ron Quince for Congress.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for joining us. Programming note for you. Republican Donald Trump superfan, and he's very popular on social media. Carmine Sabia is going to be debating former presidential candidate and now anti-Trumper Joe Walsh on this show live tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss that. That'll be live on the show tomorrow. This portion of the program brought to you by Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Very cool promotions they have lined up for you this month, including if anybody there hits a taxable jackpot. Everybody in the bar that is actively playing a machine with their card in is going to receive $20 in free slot play. How cool is that? Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Fleming on Jones. Great atmosphere, great food, great people. Tell them I sent you. Also, a quick reminder that if you're watching this show and you enjoy what I'm doing, we are an independently owned radio show. It costs money to put together this show every day. So we ask that you check out our website. If you could get more involved, pushingthelimits.live. This is how you can help. Pushingthelimits.live. Sign up for the free newsletter. Look around. We sell merchandise on there, mugs, hats, T-shirts, you name it. Now, if you don't want to buy merchandise, we have a donate button there as well. Doesn't matter what it is, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. It doesn't matter. We appreciate anything you can do for us, and you will hear personally from me if you do donate, and we appreciate your support. I promised I would get back to the phone lines. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about Donald Trump's speech in North Carolina yesterday, where it was supposed to be an economic speech, but instead it was the same Donald Trump bragging, gloating, playing the victim, and attacking. 702-221-7283. Let's start with Diane. Diane is first up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Diane. Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Buckeye, Arizona.
Well, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind today?
Well, regarding his speech yesterday, the idiocy is not even surprising anymore. It's like the same old stuff, the same old thing, just like what you just said, all the insulting and everything. He has done so much, too much, and I really believe that the American people are banding together and they're going to get his ass out of the race finally, once and for all.
I hope so.
He is so grandiose. I mean, this has caused so many problems between family members and everything, and I honestly just do not see what people see in him. It's like, really?
Well, I'll tell you,
and
I'll answer that. I'll tell you what some people see in him. And I agree with everything you said. Some people see that he is a bigot and he is a racist, and then the other bigots and racists in this country support that sort of language. He likes them, some people in this country like the misogyny, and the way Donald Trump speaks about women. Some people like the fact that he defends the Confederate flag. So those kinds of people are going to support Donald Trump. Unfortunately, there's way too many of them. One person is too many. There's way too many of them in this country, sadly. But I think those are some of the characteristics that some people like in him, to be honest with you.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
Okay, the people that are all about the Confederacy, they need to open up their eyes and realize that the Confederate Army got their asses handed to them, for one. And I'm a military mom, and I feel saddened that my son, who's getting ready to retire from the military at 42, had to refer to this idiot as commander-in-chief. That's completely ridiculous. It's disrespectful on all kinds of levels, and he is by far the worst president that the United States has ever seen, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with you. He is the divider. He was the divider in chief, Diane. Thanks for the call. By the way, for the people out there on social media that want to call me a snowflake, call me a liberal, why is it that those are the cowards that are not willing to have a conversation and tell me why they support Donald Trump? Phone lines open, 702-221-7283. If you want to be a part of the conversation instead of being a keyboard warrior, then why don't you call into the show and let's have a conversation. Let's have a debate. But I would imagine many of you either don't have the wherewithal to do so, or maybe you're scared to. I don't know. Let's go to Curtis, 702-221-7283. Curtis is next. Hi, Curtis.
Hey. So a few things. So on the whole political speeches issue that Trump and J.D. Vance keep bringing up, anyone that has watched politics closely throughout their lives has noticed that speeches are recycled, especially if you're doing one tour in different cities. Unless somebody's following you now, it's easier now to just follow the person on social media. So, yes, you will notice they are saying the same thing because they want their message to remain consistent. It is not a lack of knowledge or intellect. It is they are staying on point. And I just think that people have become so accustomed and adapted to Trump's style of not sticking to the script that was written for him. Like you saw it yesterday. You saw him looking at the teleprompter, and that's another thing that gets on my nerves. Oh, well, Kamala and Biden is always reading Most national politicians who have very long speeches, 40 minutes to an hour, are going to read a teleprompter,
of course,
to keep them on target on the talking points that voters want to hear.
I agree. You're right.
Trump is simply just thinking that this is 2016 and the fear mongering and the hate and the divisiveness is going to work. It's not going to work this time, Mr. Trump, because we have a record for you now as the executive. I will not call him the president because there's nothing presidential about him, but you now have a record.
Sure.
So the things that worked for you in 2016 are not going to work now, sir.
I agree.
You said that there were 200 million vials in the reservoir for vaccines. President Biden gets into the White House, those vaccines are not there.
Right. There's the lie after lie after lie, but that's what he does. He said we're going to build a wall, and Mexico is going to pay for it. He built 16% of the wall. Mexico did not pay $1 for it. He said he was going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. He also never did that. And now he says he's not going to tax you on your tips. I believe Kamala Harris when she says she wants to implement a plan, which, by the way, is very different. I want to be very clear on this. She's not stealing anything from Donald Trump. Her plan on taxing tips is very different than Donald Trump's plan on taxing tips because it's going to go by how much money you make. Donald Trump just makes a blatant statement, a blanket statement. And in that blanket statement, he basically just says, we're not going to tax you on tips. But if you look at the plan that Harris is going to put out on Friday, it is very, very simple. They are going to be, at least their plan, to not tax people on tips based on your income. I appreciate the call, Curtis. Good to hear from you, my friend. Very well said. Good call. 702-221-7283. Again, to my MAGA friends out there that call me a libtard, to my MAGA friends out there that say I'm a Democrat, to my MAGA friends out there that say Trump 2024, these are the same people that don't seem to have the wherewithal to call into a radio show and defend their positions. I'll defend any of my positions with any of you, but yet some of you are too scared to call into a radio show and actually say it on the air, but you'll be a keyboard warrior and type it. MAGA 2024. Prove me wrong. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next up on PTL. What's up, Mark?
Hello, Brian. Another day, another Trump Todd. I wanted to make a couple of comments on the followers of Trump, and I wanted to get your opinion as I'm talking. But before that, Kamala Harris came out and spoke behind the presidential seal and had a rousing crowd in Maryland. And out came Biden to announce that he beat Big Pharma and put the pressure on them, and they're lowering all the high-cost drugs, which will take effect in 2025.
Yeah.
He just did it.
Yep.
He just did it.
Yep.
But Trump will take credit for that too.
Well, Trump takes credit for everything. When as you know,
right.
when the stock market is going way up, he says it's because people are putting money into the stocks because they think he's going to win. And then when the stock market doesn't go very well, then he blames the Biden campaign.
The Biden's
It's incredible that people believe him, though.
But my point, the thing I want to mention is, I've been following. I'm 65 years old. I was in the military. I worked in hospitals all my life in the medical field. And I have been following politics since I'm 8 years old. And even though I don't have a talk show, doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, sure. I would never say
I may get some of my comments messed up because
Mark, let me be clear.
And it's harder.
Let me be clear, Mark, what you just said. Most talk show hosts have no idea what they're talking about. Mark Levin.
They just go along with the public.
Exactly. Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, the late cancer, Rush Limbaugh, Laura Ingraham, Tucker Carlson. There are so many people.
But I have a point I want to make.
Sure.
Brian.
Go ahead.
When you introduced Robert F. Kennedy, I immediately said that this guy's a dirtbag clown.
Well, he's a phony.
But I didn't call in. But you had said he's a good guy. He's my friend. I like him.
I never said he was.
Myself,
I never said he was my friend. I thought he was a decent man.
Right, a good guy.
And I'm not about.
Man.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not going to say that anymore
Corrected.
because I was wrong.
I knew it though right off the get-go. I knew Trump well before he ran for president.
Yeah.
And let me explain. A lot of people have left the Republican Party since they found out what Trump is all about.
Right.
But the people that are still staying with him such as your friend Carmine and all these other MAGAs that call in and all the people that are surrounding him, there's only 3 reasons. And you don't know what goes behind closed doors. You may say Carmine's my friend, he's a good guy, but you have no clue of what they're doing behind closed doors.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm glad you brought that up.
Let me tell you something. All right. Let me make my final point.
Yeah.
The 3 things that these people are still standing by Trump is because they're either brainwashed, uneducated, or racist and a white supremacist.
I think that's
Those
a good.
are the
I
only
think that's a.
reasons.
I think that's a good. I think that's a good majority of them, Mark. I don't disagree with you. Good news though, because Republican pundit, conservative pundit Carmine Sabia is going to be debating Joe Walsh on this show live tomorrow. Joe Walsh is very anti-Trump, just like I am, and Carmine is on the other side of things. So that should be a very interesting debate, and they both agreed to do it live on this show, so I'm honored to do that. 702-221-7283, again, to my MAGA supporters out there that are afraid to have a debate. Shocker. 702-221-7283. Let's go to David. David is next up on PTL. Hi, David.
Hi, Brian.
What's up, my man? What's on your mind today?
Yeah, well, it was just what you were talking about before about the Trump the rally that he had yesterday or whenever it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it's already baked into the cake that Trump usually will just go off topic. Usually no more. 10 minutes would be a stretch. I mean, it's usually pretty quick. But that's not, you know, that's the same thing we've always seen. But the one thing is, this is kind of aside from that point. And look, I'm not voting for Trump. I've never voted for Trump, and I'm not defending him as a supporter of his. But the one thing that he does that most people won't do on either side is he just goes into enemy territory, so to speak, and just starts throwing punches metaphorically. And what I mean by that is, you know, he went on the CNN town hall thing and was debating Katie, I can't remember, like Katie Couric or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was on that you talked about it a couple weeks ago, that black journalist thing.
Right.
And they were clearly no friends of his. And look, he, on that particular thing, he kind of made a fool of himself. I mean, what else is new? But the thing with his is, he still goes on there. Like, he goes into, again, enemy territory and just starts speaking his mind. And I wish that Kamala would do that, because regardless of whether or not somebody agrees with her, she's his opponent. And look, just go, like, she's doing her rallies and she's popular at her rallies. I'm not saying she's not. She's clearly.
Okay, so hear me out on this, David. It's a fair criticism, and I think if you listen to the show, you know I've talked about that. I do believe she needs to do some interviews prompto. I will also say that she just found out that she was going to be the nominee for president a month ago. Doesn't mean she shouldn't be doing interviews now. She said she was going to do one by the end of the month. Let's hold her for her word on that one. I believe she should be doing opposition interviews, because I do think as a former prosecutor, she's capable. I think she's gotten a lot better in front of the camera. So I agree with you. But I will also say this. I would rather have her not do interviews than do the type of interviews or press conferences that Donald Trump has done, because I think it's hurting Donald Trump more than it's hurting Kamala Harris.
You're saying what's hurting Donald Trump? The
holding up,
interviews,
like what he did at Mar-a-Lago. What he did at Mar-a-Lago, that press conference was a joke. Anybody who watched that press conference, the lie after lie after lie, the rambling and the attacks. I mean, that, unless you're a staunch Trump supporter, you didn't like that Mar-a-Lago. I talked to Republicans that hated it.
Well, I don't think anybody tends to like his interviews aside from hardcore supporters of his. But that's kind of, again, that's baked into the cake, because they're never going to criticize him. But, you know, I agree with what you're saying. But I mean, with Kamala, she's not a new candidate in the sense of, like, she's vice president, so she has to defend the record that's going on right now.
But I understand. But David, let's take it. She's going to be putting out her economic plan tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to be interested to hear that. Donald Trump doesn't talk about anything related to policy, like hardly ever. So we're going to get a lot of her policies tomorrow, which I think is going to be interesting. They're releasing that tomorrow. She said she was going to do an interview by the end of the month. She better do one. And we have a debate coming up September 10th. So this is a very crucial time. The last couple of weeks for Harris have gone extremely well. She's done well in these, whether she's reading a script or not. She's done well in these speeches. People have come out. The support has been good. The poll numbers have been good. And everything's positive. Now we're looking at the next couple weeks, the next several weeks, which I think are going to be key.
You know, I think the poll numbers, they're good only relative to Biden's, which were very poor the last couple of months. I mean, she's not killing Trump some polls she's up by a little bit.
She's
some
never
polls
going to
she's
kill
down by a
Trump,
little
and
bit.
Trump is never
No,
going to.
you're right. She's
It's
never
going
gonna kill.
both
Yeah.
ways. It's going to be a close race, David. Let's agree on that one. It's going to be close in November. All I'm simply saying is the poll numbers are almost a 180 compared to where they were when Joe Biden was in there a month ago. And there's a lot of positivity and excitement, and they have the DNC. And I think the DNC is going to put the RNC to shreds as far as staying on message, talking policy. And I appreciate the call, my friend. Please call back, and we'll have to wait and see how the next several weeks go. Like I said, we have the DNC, which starts Monday afternoon. So it's going to be interesting. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Al. Al is next up on PTL. He is a Donald Trump MAGA supporter. Yes, Al, thank you for calling in.
Okay, first of all, yes, I am a MAGA supporter. Okay, and before you blow gasket, I want you to hear, I think you're a bigot. Okay, and I'm a Latino Republican supporter. Okay.
Excuse me?
And
Why am I a bigot?
I represent, hey, I'm a loud voice in the second largest
Don't hate me. You just called me a bigot. Why am I, which I'm not,
and
by
I
the
want to
way.
explain to you what. Can I explain to you why I think you're a bigot?
I can't wait to hear that. The guy who supports Donald Trump is calling me a bigot. Go ahead,
Okay,
Al.
okay,
Why
let me
is
tell you
Brian
why.
a bigot? Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why you're a bigot. I just looked up the definition of a bigot, and it says somebody who isolates, who doesn't want to listen to anybody else's opinion.
Oh, really? I'm
and-
listening to yours right now, you dope. I take
Okay,
calls.
well, let me
hey,
finish.
no, let
Can
me
I
finish.
finish?
No, let me finish. You just started off on the wrong
Okay,
boat.
all right. Yeah, because you're about. 'cause
You
can't
just
handle the
started.
truth.
No,
You
excuse
can't
me.
handle the
Okay, are you
truth.
going to shut up? Shut up and let me talk. You just started the conversation by insulting me and calling me a bigot. And then you said a bigot, a definition, somebody that doesn't hear the other side. Hey, moron. I have conservatives on this show almost every single day. I have Trump supporters on this show almost every single day. I have people that work for the Trump campaign that come on this show. You are a moron making the claim that I'm a bigot because I don't listen to other people.
I disagree with you, and you didn't let me finish my sentence.
Because you said,
Can
do I not
tell you?
answer my question? Do I not let other people with different perspectives and opinions come on this show? Yes or no, bigot?
You don't let any Latinos come. How come you don't have any Latinos on your show?
What's your race?
How come you never have
What's
any
your
Latino
race?
politicians?
What's your
when
race?
Half of them are half.
What's your race? What's your race? What are you?
Latino candidates? How come
What's
you don't do
your
that?
race? What are you? Answer the question, you dope. What are you?
What do you mean, what am I?
Are you Latino?
I'm talking about, yeah.
What
but am I
are
running for
you?
office?
You
Am
said I never let
hey,
Latinos
hey,
on. Answer the question,
am
dope.
Am I a politician?
Hey,
Why
oh,
don't
so
you
now,
have some Latino?
pot him down. So now all of a sudden you've moved it to you must be a politician. Well, guess what? I've actually invited Latinos on this show that are politicians, and I proved that to you on social media, and yet you go into the show calling me a bigot, claiming, oh, Brian doesn't let Latinos on the show. If you can find me a MAGA supporter that's a Latino that's running for office, I'll gladly have them come on the show. And to make it like I'm a bigot, Al, you're just an idiot. Let's just call it for what it is. You're a moron. No, you're a moron who goes on social media trying to attack me every day. And then you're actually a Latino and you say you don't let Latinos on the show. You say I'm a bigot because I'm not willing to listen to people with other perspectives when I literally have Trump surrogates on this show on a weekly basis, and I have more Republicans on this show than Democrats. Al, you're just a moron with a very low IQ. Just admit it. Just
No,
repeat,
I don't think so.
Repeat
And then
after
you cut me
Hey,
off.
bigot, you're a bigot.
Can I
Hey, Al,
say
repeat
it?
after
Can I
me.
say something?
Al, repeat after me. I'm a bigot. Go ahead, Al. Repeat after me. You're a bigot.
No.
No.
Brian, you're a bigot. Put some more Latino politicians
Okay,
in
Al.
office
Al,
on
you're
your
just
show.
Al, you're just so stupid. Don't even call back. You're just the dumbest person that calls into this show. You're so stupid. And this is the same guy with his stupid right-wing memes who goes on social media, and then he calls into the show and calls me a bigot. And I say, and I say, why? Why am I a bigot? And he says, because you don't let Latinos on the show. Guess what? He's a Latino. I just let him on the show. And then he moves the goalpost and he says, well, you don't let Latinos that are politicians on the show. I'll welcome any politician, if they want to reach out to me, that wants to come on the show that's running for office. So that is blatantly a lie. And then he says, you're a bigot because you don't listen to people with other perspectives. I have more Republicans on this show than Democrats. Al, you're just a complete moron. I don't even know what else to say. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Back-to-back MAGA callers. I like this. Let's go to MAGA Herb. Herb is next up on PTL. Hello, Herb.
Thanks for the compliment, Brian. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Let me just respond to what one of your previous callers, Mark, said. Because he said if you vote for Trump or you vote conservative like this, you're either brainwashed, racist, or stupid. Am I right? Is that what he said?
I think it was something to that effect. I think he made a generalization. I don't think everybody.
Okay. Well, let me just respond to that. Coming from the conservative side, I think you establish your political beliefs based on your experiences in life, your understanding of history, your knowledge of current events, and your spiritual beliefs. Everybody has different series of these ideas right here. Everybody's different. Nobody's the same. You think differently than I do, and I respect your ideas, and I give you all the credit in the world. Now, we can argue the ideas, but that doesn't mean that you're wrong, and I'm going to call you a dope and everything else.
All right, so let me start from square one. Herb, I hear you.
I'm not saying, Brian, I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying
Herb, I understand.
In general.
Okay, so Herb, I hear you, okay? But here's where I get frustrated with people, okay? It's okay to have a different political opinion. But for example, when Donald Trump says, I don't respect John McCain because he was captured, it doesn't matter, or it shouldn't matter, what side of the aisle you're on. We should all be able to call that out as Americans and say that's wrong, okay? When Donald Trump tells certain members of the squad, and by the way, I don't support Ilhan Omar, and I don't support Rashida Tlaib. I've been very open and honest about that.
No,
but
I
hold
know
on,
you have.
hold on. But when you say go back to your S-hole countries, as Americans, it shouldn't matter what side of the aisle we're on. We should denounce that sort of rhetoric. When you defend the Confederate flag, which is what Donald Trump did when NASCAR banned the flag, it was Donald Trump in an interview the next day that defended the Confederate flag and was attacking NASCAR. As Americans, we should call that sort of rhetoric out. When Donald Trump still lies about the 2020 election, which he didn't win, and there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud to have proven that it could have changed the outcome of an election, we should call that out. We shouldn't be calling January 6th a tourist visit like some members in office have. It's okay to have differences of policy opinions on whether it be gun control or abortion or the economy, inflation. Herb, will you stand by and agree with me that those types of things that Donald Trump has said in his behavior should be called out by all Americans, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on? Can we agree on that?
We can agree to the point where I don't think he should have said certain things. However, I'm voting for Donald Trump because of the issues that he's standing on.
And what is it? What issue? What issues?
Listen, let me finish, Brian. And I feel more concerned and more confident about his beliefs and the issues that he's standing for than anything else. For example, the border, the economy, things like that.
Okay, hold on, one thing at a time. Okay,
one more thing.
Wait, Herb, I want you to stay on the phone. Let's have a conversation.
Okay, I know that, I want to get my point across.
Okay, but I will let you get your point across, but I want to talk to you about policy and the things you just brought up. You just said you're voting for Donald Trump. One of the reasons, the border. It's very simple. First of all, we've had issues at the border for decades and decades and decades. Trump said he would build a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it. He didn't do that. And then we had the most comprehensive bill in border security history in this country, where MAGA Republicans and Democrats sat at the table and put together a bill that basically everybody that works at the border said wouldn't have solved every issue, but it definitely would have helped. And Donald Trump picked up the phone and he said, don't vote for this bill until I get into office. We will take care of it. That is not somebody that is serious about dealing with the border. That is somebody that is only doing what is right for him, not the country. So how can you tell me with a straight face?
Brian, let me ask you a question. In July of 2023, the House of Representatives sent a bill to the Senate that was border reform. They voted on it and passed it in the House. When it came to the Senate, Schumer wouldn't even vote on it. He wouldn't even have a discussion.
Why are you talking about a different bill? I'm talking about the bill where Republicans...
I'm talking about a bill that came... In other words, you're saying that they didn't want any kind of reform of the border. The Republicans already sent a bill to the Senate, and they didn't even do anything.
And you're making my point. You're making my point. You're making my point for me. They put together, there were issues in that bill. They decided to get back to the bargaining table with Langford and other MAGA Republicans. By the way, Langford.
But I'm talking about July of 23.
And I'm talking right, and I'm talking about, and I'm talking.
Bill came about.
Hey, and I'm talking about 6 months later, actually less than 6 months after that, they renegotiated because that's what politicians. Hold on a second. Hold on. What was wrong with the bill that they renegotiated?
What was wrong with the first bill?
I can tell you what was wrong. I can tell you. I will answer that for you. I will answer that. I will answer that for you. Chuck Schumer publicly has stated on the record that there wasn't enough money allocated at the border to hire more Border Patrol agents. That was one of his biggest issues with that bill. So what did they do? They sat back at the bargaining table, and I give them credit for.
Brian, you're wrong.
Oh, what am I wrong about? What am I wrong about? What am I wrong about?
You're wrong about the fact that that's not what Schumer. If that was the case, that's why they go to conference so they can discuss the issues of the bill and they can bring it back and vote on it.
Which they did.
He didn't even do that.
Okay, first of all,
Brian,
I'm not giving out misinformation. Second of all, you're deflecting. Third of all, I'm asking you about the bill that was put forth by Republicans and Democrats. They were ready to sign off on it. And then Donald put out. And then why are you not answering my? Why are you not talking about what I am talking about? Why are you deflecting and bringing up another bill? You won't. I want you to stay on topic. I know it's very difficult for my MAGA friends to stay on topic. You want to talk about a separate bill. I am talking to you about the bill that was put forth where Donald Trump told them not to pass it when Langford and other MAGA Republicans helped put it together. And you don't want to talk about why Donald Trump told them not to pass the bill, and you want to complain Chuck Schumer. You people are the ones that are talking about the border. You people are the ones that are blaming Democrats. But when I put you in a corner and we talk about a bill that would have helped, you want to somehow blame Chuck Schumer. Why don't you stick to being on message? And by the way, does it bother you at all, regardless of what we disagree upon when it comes to the border? Does it bother you at all, Herb, that the guy that you support is a liable sexual abuser and a 34-count felon who still lies about the 2020 election? Or are you willing to just shove that aside because you like a couple of his policies? Is that what I'm getting from you, Herb?
Let me answer your question.
Please do.
Let me answer both your questions.
Please.
The first one about the Senate bill. The Senate bill would allow 2,500 illegals to come over the border a day. There was no way in the world that was going to pass. That's not acceptable.
Not true.
The other thing
not
is
true.
That, let me tell you something.
What you said is not true.
When you say all these different things about he was convicted of this.
No. Pot him down again. No. You're going to wait. It's not what I say. Everything that you say. It is a fact, Herb, and you are not living in reality. I will let you finish your answer, but don't you make the claim that I'm just throwing stuff at a wall in hopes it sticks. That's what you MAGA Republicans do, okay? Don't play that game with me. It's not what I'm saying. It's what a court said. It's what a jury said. A jury of Donald Trump's peers found that Donald Trump sexually abused a woman in a dressing room. It's not what I say. It's what a court said, and he was found liable for rape. It's not what I say when I say he's a 34-count felon. It's what a jury said. It's what a court said, okay? He was found guilty of on 34 felony counts. So don't you start by saying, Brian, it's what you say. No, it is a fact that Donald Trump is a liable rapist and a 34-count felon. Now, I'm going to let you continue, but don't you make it sound like I'm making stuff up, because those are facts.
Oh, no. I'm not saying you're making anything up. But let me say this. In regards to the convictions against Trump, that's the same thing as saying that the 6 men that killed Emmett Till back in 1955, they were innocent of all the charges. So that's what I compare.
Okay, so that is the okay. So let me respond to that. I'm going to pod you down again. You are comparing a murder that was proven that those men didn't commit those crimes because of DNA evidence to Donald Trump found liable of sexual abuse and 34 counts of felonies where there is no DNA that could ever exonerate Donald Trump. Do you realize how ridiculous that analogy is? And then Herb hangs up the phone. Donald Trump is not going to be found innocent of those charges. They can appeal. He will always be a 34-count felon. Donald Trump will always be a liable sexual abuser. And you are comparing that to DNA evidence from a crime that was allegedly committed in the 1950s, a murder? Do you realize how ridiculous you sound, Herb? Thank you for the phone call. Holy smokes. All right, here's what we're going to do. We got one phone line open. We'll take some more phone calls on the other side. That number is 702-221-7283. Again, 702-221-7283. More phone calls on the other side. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. Programming note for you. Tomorrow on the show, we are going to have a debate between a staunch Trump supporter and a former Trump supporter turned Republican for Kamala Harris. Former presidential candidate and former Chicago Congressman Joe Walsh is going to be joining us, and he's going to be he's going to be debating popular Republican pundit Carmine Sabia. So that'll be tomorrow on the show in the first hour. So that should be very, very interesting. Certainly looking forward to that. Reminder to all of you out there listening in, and I appreciate all of you very much. We are independently owned, this show. It costs money to put this show together, of course, every day. So check out my new website. We're really proud about it. Pushingthelimits.live. Again, that's pushingthelimits.live. Sign up for the free newsletter. Look around. We do sell merchandise on there at very affordable prices. Everything from hats to shirts to mugs. So check that out. And if you don't want to buy any of the merchandise, there is a donate button right there on the homepage. We appreciate anything you can do. $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. We appreciate anything you can afford, and you'll hear from me personally as a thank you for supporting Pushing the Limits. Again, that's pushingthelimits.live. Okay, I promised you I would get back to our busy phone calls. 702-221-7283. It is funny because I listen to, very rarely do I listen to conservative talk radio to begin with, maybe 5 or 10 minutes a day as I'm driving in my car to work. And I do listen sometimes to the local radio hosts, some of them who say, let's get back to our busy calls. And they take literally like 2 calls an hour. And it's usually the same callers they have every day. So I'm very grateful that we get calls across the country, different perspectives, even though, we just had Al and Herb on, and I gave it to Al pretty good. But I do appreciate it when people call in with different perspectives. 702-221-7283. All right, let's go to Sherry. Sherry calling in. Sherry, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Palm Harbor, Florida.
Thank you for calling in, Sherry. Oh, boy, you got a hell of a governor there, huh? Jeez.
Oh, don't. Okay, that is not why I called, and I don't have all day, so please do not get me started.
We can leave...
I am a first-time caller, by the way.
Well, thank you for calling in. We'll leave sexy white boot Ron DeSantis alone. Go ahead.
Ooh. Well, now I don't know how I'll finish my workday, but that visual.
Well, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind today, Sherry?
This is actually the first time I've listened in a long time, strictly because you're generally on while I'm at work. So I happen to tune in and hear Herb. And first of all, I commend you on your poise, which, because I don't get to see you a lot, I'm noticing that was fantastic. Because I have MAGA parents, and I cannot have a discussion because there is no back and forth with them. There is only... I ask them a question, and then they throw a talking point at me, or I ask for their view on a certain issue, and they tell me why something else is wrong, like a bill that was tried to put through in June of 2023, rather than speak about what I'm asking. It's impossible. Right. I've unfortunately given up. But I think, and it's very possible, I am repeating something that you hear 20 times a day, so I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Herb and my parents are the reason why I generally have more conversations with independents than MAGA, because there's a very small chance I'm going to get to. My parents have daughters, granddaughters, nieces. They're retired on Social Security, and they're Jewish. Please explain to me one policy, one actual policy that Donald Trump puts forth, as if he puts forth true policy anyway, that would benefit their lives at all.
Well, I can't name one, and you said a very key word, and that is your MAGA people that you occasionally speak to. They use the term "what about." It's called whataboutism. Example: Herb calls in. We'll use him as his example. His issues are with the border, which is, by the way, issues we've had at the border for decades and decades and decades, as long as I've been alive. No president has been able to fix everything at the border. And if they want to make the argument, well, more people have been coming in illegal under Joe Biden. More people came in illegal overstaying their visas under Donald Trump. But they don't want to talk about that. But anyway, I bring up the bipartisan bill that was supposed to have been passed, and it would have been the most comprehensive border bill package, the most comprehensive. MAGA supporters like Langford, who Donald Trump praised with his border ideas, sat at the table with other MAGAs and Democrats, and I give them credit because they put forth the bill that wasn't perfect, but it would have passed, and it was going to pass. How do we know that? because some of the people that voted against it helped put the bill together. The only reason why they voted against it is because Donald Trump picked up the phone, he called Mike Johnson, and he said, don't pass this bill unless it's perfect. There's no bill that's perfect. And the only reason why Donald Trump did that is not because he read the bill. He did it because he didn't want a bill to be passed, just like he didn't want the infrastructure bill to be passed, something that he was unable to do bipartisanship when he was president and Joe Biden was. It's the same thing. So when people want to call in and they want to say, I don't like Harris because of the border deal, ask them about this last comprehensive border bill package that would have passed, but Donald Trump's told them not to pass it. They are all full of crap with their whataboutism. I bring up that bill, and he wants to bring up another bill that never passed 6 months earlier. This is what they do. They can't stay on topic. They can't answer direct questions, and they look up to Cheeto Jesus, a 34-count felon rapist.
And if you want to talk about what about, because I can go back. Now, I want to put on an aside note here that my husband is a registered Republican. When we met, he listened to talk radio that I can't even mention because it makes my blood boil, and he realized he was doing himself a disservice because all that served to do was make him angry 24/7, and he walked away. Not until Trump did my husband take a bigger look at a bigger picture and say, oh my gosh, we can't let our country go down this road. And he's a straight blue ticket voter for the last 2020, and he's going to be now. So that you can talk to normal, rational, sane people who don't want to be in a cult.
Absolutely.
But if you want to go whataboutism with my parents, with daughters, with nieces, with granddaughters, there's a lot more likely chance that their life is going to be affected by a pregnancy that needs some kind of medical attention, whether it's a DNC, something, let's say it's not even by choice as birth control, but there's much more whataboutism that's going to possibly affect their life day to day. As big a problem as the border is, and I will never say it isn't, it is not going to impact my parents or MAGA that I speak to on a regular basis whatsoever compared to the other issues that are on a bill, or I'm sorry, that are on the table. And I don't understand. So I always tell my husband, I wish I could sit down with my parents and have a back and forth. And I might not agree and they might not agree, but let's speak as rational individuals. It's not possible. So instead, I find people that I've known for my whole life who say, I don't bother to vote, because that's the person you're going to be able to at least have a conversation with and say, what is your feeling about this? What is your feeling about this? And in your day-to-day, what is going to impact you and your family and your friends? Because these are the things we need to look at. My son, and I'll leave you with this because I don't want to keep you from getting other calls. I have a son who doesn't want children. He's a grown man. He's 27 years old.
Oh, J.D. Vance doesn't like that.
Oh, no kidding. And he is an independent voter with a MAGA dad. I'm divorced from his dad. He's a wonderful person, but he went and drank the Kool-Aid. And he won't talk about politics because before he moved out and he was living half-time with his dad, he was, oh my gosh, beaten to death with Donald Trump is so great. But I want to talk to him and just tell him, let's discuss one issue, please, and I won't talk politics with you anymore. If you, as a grown man, want the ability to control your number of offspring, be it not necessarily through, let's say it's not through abortion, but even birth control, which they've admitted is on the table. If you want to be a one-issue voter, but that is the biggest issue in his life, and that he needs to take a look at that and not look at the fear factor and the scare tactics on the border and the caravans and how drag queens are going to take over the world and ruin everything. So I'm hoping I can sit down and at least have a 2-minute back and forth and say, I will never tell you who to vote for, but please look at this issue. Please look at Project 2025. See what this will do to impact your life, because my opinion, if you don't want kids, don't have them, because I love all of my children, but they are work no matter what.
I appreciate you. Great phone call. I agree with a lot of what you said, just about everything. And Project 2025, they're trying to distance themselves from it. As Kamala Harris says, I can't believe they even put that in writing. What an embarrassment. But this is the way a lot of Republicans think, especially now in 2024. Make no mistake about it. They want to ban abortion nationwide. They want more government control, not less government control. We hear that all the time from Republicans. We want the government out of our lives. That's not true. They're anti-gay marriage. They're anti-transgender. They call themselves pro-life, and basically they're against every government program that can help a single mother raise a child. They are all such hypocrites. And it is such a joke. And then they hide behind their bigotry with their religion. Oh, I'm a Christian. Oh, well, I'm an evangelical. I'm a Christian. My religion tells me to be a bigot. Please, give me a break. You all are such a joke. You're all mentally ill. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Carl. Carl is next up on PTL. What's going on, Carl?
Hey, Brian. Listen, I've got an idea for the party of intelligence, and I'm not referring to the opposite party, but the party of credibility and intelligence is to have Donald Trump do many more rallies and interviews. He should triple, quadruple the number, because the more he has, the less, the stupider he sounds, and the more he lies, and the less votes he gets. I think he should have many more interviews and rallies. I'd like to see that.
Well, here's what I want, Carl. I want him to continue to attack Harris for her laugh, continue to attack Harris on the color of her skin, continue to go after drag queens and people that are maybe different sexually than they are. I want him to
that's what I'm talking
continue
about.
to go after because people have had it. Most people, not all, sadly, but the majority of people in this country have had it with the personal attacks.
I know.
They've had it.
But that's what I'm talking about. When they hear the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, it gets to a point where they start to say, what is mentally wrong with this man? I mean, he just exudes mental illness. It comes out over and over and over again. And he can't have a new speech. He can only insult and do the same thing over and over again.
You're right. I mean, this is all that Donald Trump is capable of. He's not able to stay on script. He's not able to stay on point. He wasn't able to talk about the economy. Yesterday was labeled, or at least it was supposed to be, a speech about the economy in the future, and 95% of the speech was, again, him with the insults and the weird conversations, whether it be Hannibal Lecter or him, listen, it's lies. That's what we're talking about here. All right, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Jeffrey, who's next up on PTL. Hello, Jeffrey. Where are you calling from?
Some boys' bathrooms like wall.
Boys' bathrooms is really all I heard. All I heard in that was he's calling from boys' bathrooms. Was that J.D. Vance who just called in? I think that was J.D. Vance. Was that J.D. Vance? Who else could be calling from a boys' bathroom? Who was the Republican who was in men's bathrooms tapping other stalls in that airport? I'm trying to remember who that Republican was. I can't recall. Maybe that was him who was calling in. I don't know. Maybe that was J.D. Vance. Hey, if that was J.D. Vance, please call back. Calling in from boys' bathrooms. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Roy. Roy is next up on PTL. What's going on, Roy?
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Hey, good, man. What's on your mind?
A couple of things. One, the hypocrisy of Vance and Trump is remarkable. They talk about Harris changing some of her viewpoints on different things. And that's okay. That's normal. Well, I think J.D. Vance changed his viewpoint on Trump a little bit, don't you?
Just a little bit. Yeah, he's the next American Adolf Hitler. Yeah. What a joke.
So, I mean, people can change their minds. The other thing is he talks about the military service of Tim Walz. You're supporting a draft dodger.
That's true.
Please,
True.
But one thing, a couple of things. One thing where I really disagree with you, I think that the way things are going, it is not going to be a close election. All the different areas, whether it's young people, minorities, independents, everyone is pushing towards
All right,
Harris.
so here's why I'm hesitant, okay? I understand that Harris has a lot of positive momentum. I've been to both rallies, Trump and Harris. I was impressed with the rally. People seemed happy. They were joyful. I like the message. There's a lot more. Even she would admit this. There's a lot more work that needs to be done. Here's why I'm a little hesitant. There's a couple reasons. Number one, I think back to 2016. Almost everybody in this country believed that Hillary was going to win in a landslide. It didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Well, Hillary made a lot of campaign mistakes. This is a very key month-long stretch. Well, key 3 months, 2 months for Harris. Now, I like the fact that she's touring the country. I like the fact that they've both been disciplined and they've been on message. Okay, great. At some point, she's going to have to do some interviews. The debate, she cannot let it be just an even all-square affair. She has to win the debate. And
she'll wipe the floor with
well,
him.
I hope so. I hope so. Would I lean on that outcome? Yes, I would. I think that probably will happen with her skills as a prosecutor. I would hope so, but I am not putting
But
all
here's
my
one
eggs in
other
a basket.
thing.
I'm not going to say it's going to be a
Okay.
landslide.
But here is a very big difference. When Hillary ran against Trump, nobody knew what Trump was in office. Today, you've got a lot of people who are voting against Trump because they
that's
know
true.
what he was.
That's an advantage.
He had the
Yes.
He had the advantage where people didn't know how stupid he was.
I
back
agree.
then.
Logic, Roy. I agree with what you said, Roy. And logic would tell us that you're not going to find a lot of people that voted for Joe Biden in 2020 that are going to be voting for Trump in 2024. That's what logic would say. And Roy, you're right. He has a record to go on now, which isn't much of a record. And there's a lot of ammo for Harris to go after him on that debate stage. And certainly I hope she does. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Stephen. Stephen is next up on PTL. Hi, Stephen. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York City.
Thanks for calling in, Stephen. What's on your mind today?
I just wanted to say, first of all, people in 2016 knew what they were getting from Donald Trump just because of the way he acted and the way he talked and the way he did all of his debates. So they can't say that they voted for him because they didn't know how bad he was going to be. But what I really want to say is an idea I want you to consider. How would you feel about him and Kamala sitting in a room, separate sides of a room, taking the same cognitive test together, so we can see who's really more
I'd love
cognitive?
to do it. Trump will never do it. Harris would do it. Trump will never do it.
But he's always saying, no, we should all take a cognitive test.
Well, I mean, he says a lot of things that we can't believe. But listen, I'd be all for it. But Trump will never do it. I mean, if Harris, listen, there's things that I wish Harris would say that I know she's not going to say. First of all, that would be one of them. Challenge him to a cognitive test in a room with a non-biased person performing the test. You got to call him a liable sexual abuser. I think she should put E. Jean Carroll sitting front row. Okay, next to her family members. I would absolutely do that. Play his game because he won't be able to handle it. Call him a felon constantly. Call him a liable sexual abuser. Be specific with what he did to E. Jean Carroll. Talk about the 25 women that have accused him of sexual assault or rape. Talk about his ex-wife who accused him of rape. Talk about abortion. Talk about him gloating and bragging about overturning Roe versus Wade. I hope she does this. I'm worried that she might not.
Just one petty thing I think she should do. Just when she's in a debate with him, just keep mispronouncing his name. Because he can never say her name right.
What would you call him? Like, how could you mispronounce the name so it's not like crazy ridiculous?
I don't
Donnie?
know.
Call him Donnie.
Runald or something like that.
Donald Twump. I don't know.
There you go. Well, there's one lady on the internet who calls him Hannibal Lecter, but I don't think she'll do that.
Hannibal Lecter. I think that'd be very funny. I don't know what his obsession with this
good.
Hannibal Lecter, but I appreciate the call, my man. Thank you very much. If anybody has any nicknames that you think she should call him, please call in and let me know. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Dennis. Hi, Dennis. Where are you calling from?
Yes, I'm calling from Vermont.
Well, thank you for calling in, my friend. How are you? Isn't that Bernie Sanders country?
Yes, it is. I've been a Bernie fan forever. I just got one thing I've been wanting to say. I wish there's so many people in this country that don't know how our government works, and I can't believe how stupid people are. But anyway, I wish Harris would get up when she gives her speeches and say to these people, "You want these things that I want? Give me a Democratic Congress. We need a Congress that's going to support her."
Mm-hmm.
And look how much Biden got done in 2 years, and as soon as the Republicans take over the House, it went to shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I wish she would say. So many people don't realize it. It's Congress that has most of the power.
Well, no question about that. If you want to pass comprehensive gun reform and many other things and want to put Roe back on the books, you certainly can't do much unless you have the support of Congress. So I agree with you on that. I remember the Obama years where he tried to pass gun legislation. So many things that he tried to do, and Republicans kept blocking everything that he tried to pass, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's and they turn around and say, well, it's his fault. Well, you want these things he wants. You got to give him some help, for Christ's sake,
I agree. And I think Joe Biden has accomplished a lot. He's a good man. And
he's a good man.
And I understand that my understanding, at least from what I've heard, is that there's some bad blood now between him and Obama. There's some bad blood now between him and Nancy Pelosi. You got to think of it like this, and this might be hard for Joe Biden because the guy has been a politician and he's been a leader for so long. This was the right decision. It's not that, and I personally believe it's not that Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama have any negative or personal vendetta against the man. Heck, Obama chose him as his vice president. They were a good team together. And I think Joe Biden eventually is just going to have to get over the fact that they did this for the country because they want to defeat Donald Trump. And it wasn't personal. It wasn't personal, but they had to speak up. And I personally believe maybe that if Pelosi and Obama and these kinds of people weren't reaching out to Biden, I'm not sure he would have stepped aside. So this was the right decision to make. I think Joe Biden over time will eventually get over it. And he's still going to be an important name and influence within the Democrat Party. And he should always remain a man who did a great service to this country. He was a great president. He defeated Donald Trump, and we should all have respect for that. But he made the right decision to step aside.
Yeah, I think he did too. I think it would be too hard on him anyway for the comp.
You know what I wish, though? You know what I wish, and I appreciate the call, my friend. You know what I wish Joe Biden would do, and maybe I think it would be great if he did this before the November elections. Hold a press conference, don't have to answer questions, and just say, look, this was my decision. Nobody forced me to do anything. Now, will his ego allow him to do that? I don't know. Nobody forced me to step aside. I had self-reflection, and this was my decision and nobody else's. I don't know if he will do that. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I think it would help the Democrat Party. And it would help Harris. And by the way, Harris and Biden, it appears as though they still have a great relationship. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Kava, who's next up on PTL. Hi, Kava. Kava, are you there?
Oh, yeah. Hi, Bryce.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Good. What's on your mind today?
So I just wanted to mention something that you were talking about earlier with Donald Trump going after Kamala. Again, I've seen this from the right so many times that I've gotten sick of having to say it. But the fact that they are attacking women consistently shows that how low of an IQ they have. It shows that they have no moral compass. And if they want to keep doing it, fine, do it. But at the end of the day, what does it say about you Republicans at the end of the day? Let that sink in for a minute. What does that say about who you are as a human being?
Right.
Let that sink in.
Right.
Because it's funny that they are going after women and immigrants because immigrants are the ones who are basically helping the America's economy, and we're not the ones insulting you. We're not the ones insulting women. We're not the ones who overturned Roe v. Wade. We're not the ones who are talking crap about the other side. So,
right.
I mean, hello, let's wake up, shall we?
Well,
Who's
I think
really in the wrong here.
I think the country, to an extent, has woken up, and I think November is going to be a perfect example of that. I think most of the country already is anti-Trump, and when Donald Trump says he has 75% support, it's laughable. It's a laughable statistic. He lost the popular vote in 2016. He lost the popular vote badly in 2020. So we know for sure that he's going to lose the popular vote in November. But unfortunately, we have the Electoral College. And I say unfortunately because Republicans would virtually never win an election if not for the Electoral College, which is rigged for Republicans. Makes no sense. Your vote, whether you live in Vermont or California or New York or Boston or Nebraska, should count the same. But Republicans have allowed Democrats to agree to this Electoral College, which is absolutely and fundamentally absurd. It gives Republicans a chance to win. That's really what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Republicans would almost never win a presidential election if not for the Electoral College. It speaks for themselves. Okay, the number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Vivian, who's next up on PTL. Hi, Vivian.
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Hey, doing good. What's on your mind today?
I was looking at some articles and stuff, and they were talking about how Trump owes so much money from 2016, 2020, that's probably another reason why he's not going out so much, is because he owed all these people money for rallies he didn't pay nobody.
Well, he definitely owes a lot of people money. You're right about that. And I know people personally that have attempted to do business with him, and he certainly screws over a lot of people. There's no question
Yeah,
about
I'm from
that.
New York, so I know that. That's
yeah,
true.
Yeah, that we know that for sure. And it doesn't matter to some of these MAGA supporters what this man does. I mean, there's a guy named Royce White. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. He just won an election the other day. He's a former NBA player who had a short career in the NBA, and now he ran for office and he just won. He's a MAGA supporter. He's a Republican. He happens to be black. And he goes on social media and he puts out a video. And in this video, he says, Donald Trump could get there up on a stage and hold a rally and pull his pants down and his underwear down and take a crap right then and there, and I would still vote for him. Now, how can you have, and that's somebody, by the way, that is an elected official now. He was voted in.
Oh, my God.
How can you have a conversation of any magnitude with any bit of intelligence at all with somebody that thinks that way? You can't. You can't. It's really, really frustrating. And these are some of the people that are getting voted into office, and it's very frustrating.
Remember, I don't know if you remember, I told you about how I had to argue with my nephew. Now he's sending me all this stuff in emails and texts about Trump, and I'm like, you better stop it. I'm going to block you because I don't want to see that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure there's a lot of times where a lot of women felt the same way about Donald Trump, where Donald Trump, exposed certain things that many women didn't want to see either. So let's go with that one for a moment. But I just really, to put things in perspective here, and I've said this on the show plenty of times, and I'll say it again. I think most people that listen to this show, not all, but most people hope that Donald Trump doesn't see the White House again. I'm certainly one of those people. And there are people on social media, some of the haters and some of the MAGA supporters, that'll say, Brian, what are you going to do if Donald Trump wins? Well, first of all, I don't want Donald Trump to win. But one could make the argument if Donald Trump does win, it's probably better for my radio show. Now, I don't want Donald Trump to win, and my radio show will be just fine. And I hope Kamala wins. But if Donald Trump does win, you could make the argument that I'm always going to have something to talk about, and it could be better for my show. Number two, Donald Trump was president, thought he was a horrible president. He's divided this country in more ways than one. And if he wins, I'll certainly be very disappointed. It's not going to ruin my life. I'm not going to be in the streets crying. I'm not going to change my dinner plans that night. It's not going to dictate my life. I think it'll be bad for the country. I think we'll get through it, but I think it'll be bad for the country. So I want to be very clear on that. When people say, "Oh, your life is going to be over," to the contrary, no, it's not. I'll be just fine. I'll be disappointed. I'll be a little upset probably the day after the elections, but I'm not going to let it dictate my life in any way, shape, or form. So for those of you out there that are making comments like that, you're wrong. Number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Again, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Laura, who's next up on PTL. Hi, Laura. Where are you calling from?
Oklahoma, good old red-hearted Oklahoma, where we bleed red.
I love it. Go Sooners. What's on your mind today, Laura?
Well, basically, I'm a person that is sitting here in I can see a mega flag flying from the front door.
Oh, Lord.
Surrounded. I know. It's very difficult. And I have a number of Democratic older friends, just as myself, and we discuss everything. And I think I'm fairly well versed. But what's going on in Oklahoma right now, we have a superintendent of education, Ryan Walters. Mm-hmm. He is following the plan book of 2025. He is, you need to look this guy up because he is beyond belief what he's doing to our school system right now. He's just following the plan book. Mm-hmm. He is so up the funding for, he's done a multitude.
Well, let me go over this. Let me guess here. Read the this is the MAGA playbook, right? In schools, read the 10 Commandments. Put the 10 Commandments in every classroom. Don't stay gay. Don't let men dress as women or women dress as men. God forbid if somebody says it's okay to be gay. This is religion down these kids' throat. Let me tell you something. I always hated it when I was a kid. And I hate it now when anybody pushes stuff down my throat that I don't like. Religion, whatever the case may be. I want people to live their lives. I want people to be who they are. It doesn't matter whether they're a 16-year-old kid or a 60-year-old man or woman. I don't care. Do what you want with your body, so long as it's not illegal. It's not for me to say, hey, I'm not the kind of guy that likes tattoos. But you know what? I don't tell other people what to do when it comes to tattoos. If you want to have 100 tattoos, be my guest. You're not hurting anybody else, and I don't like to tell other people what to do. And I feel like that's the MAGA crowd today. They want to tell you what to do with your bodies. They want to tell you what to do when it comes to your faith, whether you have faith in God or not. They want to tell you what you can or can't believe. And I refuse to listen to them. I think they're despicable and they're hypocrites.
Well, that about sums it up. But here's what's going on. Okay, so Stitt is the governor. He's outgoing. He's had 2 terms. We put up with his garbage. He's pretty quiet because there was a little bit of smoke, not investigated. He kind of shut up and is not real pushy. But this Secretary of Education, Ryan Walters, is everything. He's a J.D. Vance. I'm not kidding.
Oh boy! Keep the keep the sofas away, okay? And I guess keep people away too. Because did you see J.D. Vance? Thank you for the call, by the way, dear. Did you see that J.D. Vance rally yesterday? There were like 20 people there. I'm not exaggerating. There were literally like 20 people there at the J.D. Vance rally yesterday. What an embarrassment this guy is. He's just killing the Trump campaign. So I hope he continues to try to do these rallies with like 20 people. Oh, my God. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Ann, who's next up on PTL. Hi, Ann. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New Hampshire.
Well, thank you for calling in, Ann. What's on your mind today?
I've just your radio station's been coming up, and I'm just mesmerized with it. You're doing a great job.
Oh, well, thank you.
I mean, I don't want to rehash same old, but what I want to say is I don't know why this man is even there. It should have been stopped when he made fun of a disabled reporter.
Mm-hmm. How about when he made fun of John McCain? I think it should have been over then.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I, as an educator, saw the day he was elected. I think we should do a study about, a psychology study about the fact that it just changed the whole attitude of this country. He made it normalized for people to, if you're not pure white, if you don't belong here, if you're an immigrant, he started with that. And our kids, from that day that he was elected, went around bullying and making fun of kids that didn't look like they were born in this country.
Right.
And this is in flippin' New Hampshire.
Awful.
And my vice principal and I said, what the hell is going on? Because we had bullying reports up the yin-yang. It put such an effect on lack of respect. The parents, January 6th, we had parents that went there on January 6th telling me that they won't wear masks. And I mean, it's just, this country has gone down. He has normalized abuse of women. He has normalized, cheating the government. And people seem to be attracted to that, and that's a scary part.
Well, the majority of people are not, but I do agree with you. There's a percentage of people in this country that are attracted to his bigotry, his hatred, his misogyny, and the way this man has lived his life is so despicable. I mean, on his headstone, what should it say? He wasn't a beloved father. He certainly wasn't a good husband. What are his positive attributes? Like, what do you, when it's all said and done, we die with no money. What does it say on Donald Trump's headstone? He's lived a despicable life. He's a despicable man. He's a criminal. He's a rapist. I mean, you name it. He's defrauded our government. He's defrauded so many different people. When it comes to Trump University, for starters, all the people that he's defrauded, the civil lawsuits, He's a terrible human being. This is not a conversation about policy. We can talk about policy. This is a conversation about decency versus evil. That's what this election is all about, my dear. That's what it's about.
Exactly. And to think that there are the policies that Biden has done to try to help people, the student loans, it has infuriated wealthy people that say, I put my kid through college and I can pay for it. Well, that's wonderful.
You know what that's like saying? Hey, I owned a bunch of slaves back in the day, so we should be owning a bunch of slaves now. I know some people might not like that analogy, but it's true. Just because people had to suffer back then, whether it's a crisis when it comes to owning human beings, which I'm so glad we're not doing anymore, or whether it's a crisis with the economy where people are living paycheck to paycheck because they can't pay their bills. A crisis is a crisis. The country can improve, and the whole excuse or idea of, I had to pay off my student loan debt, so you should have to pay off yours. These people are just so selfish and stupid. And they're also hypocrites. What about all these right-wing business owners that took their PPE loans during COVID? They didn't have to pay those back, but it's okay if it helps them. But if it helps somebody else, screw you. That's the way these far-right Republicans think, and I've had it with them.
And I don't know, I hope we're making some ground here, but it is so flippin' scary. You can compare Nazi Germany, Hitler, and the same strategies, the same psychology, the scapegoating, and all the things that Hitler did to unify people, blaming it on somebody else. And this is...
I'll say this. I don't know if I would compare it to Hitler, but I will say this. It is a clan cult. It is a cult. These people are cultists. They're all brainwashed. And when they go to these rallies and they buy their Trump Bibles and their gold sneakers and they wear their Let's Go Brandon signs, these are some of the dumbest people America has to offer. These are dangerous people. These are brainwashed people. Many of them come from alt-far-right fringe groups like the Proud Boys. They're dangerous. They're stupid. And, go ahead and vote for Donald Trump, you stupid idiots. Go ahead. There's too many reasonable, intelligent people in this country that I believe in November will not be voting for Donald Trump.
I just hope to God you're right. But thank you for educating people even more and having the facts, because, I think people have ideas about what's going on. And the other thing is, if Biden does executive orders, the idea of the balance of government is that the Congress should be passing something about immigration 50 years ago. And
no question. There's no question about that.
They don't have the guts to address it because they don't want to be,
Let me tell you something. These right-wingers don't have the guts to address a lot of issues. Gun control, health care. We're going to have a replacement plan to Obamacare in 2 weeks. How did that work out? Thank you so much for the phone call. I'm hopeful that things are going to be okay in November. I really am. I'm hopeful. So a programming note, tomorrow on the show, conservative pundit and Donald Trump supporter Carmine Sabia will be joining us, and he will be debating Joe Walsh, former presidential candidate, former Trump supporter, very anti-Trump. He's part of the Republicans Against Trump camp. They are going to be debating live on the air tomorrow. I'm going to moderate it. It's going to be interesting. You're not going to want to miss it. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. I have a lot of people that hit me up every day, kind of like some of these callers that I've had that enjoy the show. And I'm so humbled and appreciative to all of you that watch this show and call in, and you're a part of what we do. And that's my job, to entertain you, but to also inform and to put together a really good show that we work hard for every day. So what can you do to help us out? Well, this show is independently owned. What does that mean? We're kind of like public television, public radio. We rely on people like you. So what can you do to help? Check out the website, pushingthelimits.live. That's the first step. Take you a second. It's a cool website. It's fairly new. It's only been around a couple months. Pushingthelimits.live. We do sell merchandise on there if you go in the shopping section of the website. Hats, T-shirts, Pushing the Limits gear. But if you don't want to buy merchandise, that's totally okay. There's a donate button on the main page. You click on that donate button. It takes less than a minute. Doesn't matter whether it's $5, $10, $20, whatever you can afford monthly. We appreciate it, and it keeps us going, and it allows us to continue to create great content for all of you. So pushingthelimits.live, again, that website is pushingthelimits.live, and we appreciate all of you so much for your support of this show, Pushing the Limits. My socials, you can subscribe to my YouTube for free It's at PTL Radio Show, ever so growing. At PTL Radio Show is my YouTube channel. At PTL Radio is on, of course, X and on other social media platforms as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds